couch and I'm not moving my ass. But when I try to stream, there's nothing on my screen, and Netflix says that it can't play that title. Why can't it work the first time? Oh, I think I'm going out of my mind. I'm having technical difficulties once again. I just wanna chill and hang with all of my friends. I'm existing in perpetual loading land. When will my Zoom call end? I'm having technical difficulties again. PowerPoint's not working and Hulu won't play. My internet's too slow for Grand Theft Auto updates. My computer just crashed. I forgot to hit save. Why can't this technology just duck and behave? I want to charge my phone, but my charging cable's broke, and Amazon's updating all their servers. I can't find my mouse cursor. This night it can't get any worse. I'm having technical difficulties once again. I just wanna chill and hang with all of my friends. I'm existing in perpetual loading land. When will my Zoom call end? I'm having technical difficulties again. Life is too crazy to be waiting around for new technology to give me better sound. I want this loading screen to finish on up, 'cause I'm
Welcome back. Sorry about that. Thank you for holding through our technical difficulties. We apologize for the craziness, but we are. I thought you froze there for a minute. I thought I was.
No, it's
losing,
okay.
Thought I was losing internet again. It freaked me out, but all is
I was
well.
gonna say I apologize if I cursed at one point because I thought it was me.
No.
I thought it was my problem. So
No. But yes, sorry about that, guys. Thanks for hanging in and chilling with us. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but that's just what you get when you're a pro streamer like me. But that's
I like how humble you are.
yes. But welcome back to That 20-Somethings Show. We were right smack dab in the middle of talking about fairy tales. Where were we?
We were asking what their favorite, for the new viewers, what their favorite fairy tale was,
yes.
or what.
Speedy,
what kind of
are you
thing?
still here? If you're not, I'm so sorry that we let you go like that. I'm so sorry. Just craziness.
If any new people are watching, we're talking about fairy tales. So let us know what your favorite fairy tale is growing up. Or if there's something cool you learned from it, because I like to hear what people take from those stories too.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be fairy tales. Could be it could be fables, could be nursery rhymes, anything, guys. Like we're down for anything in that vein.
Absolutely.
One thing I was telling you though was that there were some cool things that I noticed about what's that tooth fairy count with yes the tooth fairy does count with the Rock, especially as the Rock.
yes, of course. And who's that other guy?
Didn't Larry the Cable Guy do one? I haven't seen that one, but I heard he did a sequel.
No, not that one. I was talking about the guy in the Tooth
from the
Fairy.
Santa Claus?
No, I was talking about the guy in the Tooth Fairy with the Rock.
Oh, okay. Jack Black, right? He was in the movie with the Rock.
I'm gonna kill you. There will be.
I know who you're talking about, the British guy. I just don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't know his name either. It's fine. I don't think Spy Kids is a fairy tale, but why not? Let's
mention it for a second. Spy Kids was awesome.
Spy Kids was a great show. Yeah.
What I was talking about.
Anyway.
We gotta mention Spy Kids at some point. I'm sorry. But,
Yeah, it's in there now.
Yes, but what I was talking about was like I like seeing all these different like possible origins to these fairy tales. Like for example, uh, there was one I heard about Snow White in which one person that it could have been based on would have been like a duchess, I think, like a duchess in like the 1500s, but was like Marguerite something, but which also I think is kind of cool because it could be either because of that or another actress named Margaret played her, but in Once Upon a Time, her Snow White's cursed persona is Mary Margaret, you know,
Yeah.
like as kind of an homage, and of course Blanchard meaning Blanche White,
White.
but that was kind of cool. But there was also another, I think it was like a German origin, but there was like an actual real life person, or I think it was like a noble, in which they had the stepmother or like a mother. Because originally it was mother, but they changed it to stepmothers in retellings because it made it a little more, I don't know, easier to stomach, I guess, because it's having a harsh mother or whatever. But
yeah,
they this woman was known for having a talking mirror, but the reason behind that was not because it was enchanted or anything, but because number one, mirrors were like a like a fancy commodity, like not just anyone had it. But the thing about these mirrors was that it was so clear, they were so honest, they could only tell you the truth. So like the speaking mirror, it would only tell you the truth of what like what you're looking into. So like that's clever. But also some had like, I don't know what it was, but like some were built with like this, either the framing or like something that was kind of they gave it a bit of an acoustic that kind of like echoed back. So that you add that to it, I'm like, that's pretty impressive, a talking mirror. But the thing is, like, they had a similar thing where um things like they kicked the girl out, and of course she was taken care of by it could have been either short men or kids because they worked in mines, or because like certain things in the the way you have to work in the mine kind of like stunted your growth. But you had like all these different like actual occurrences and events that could have inspired Snow White back then. And one thing that really interested me was a different story, like I don't know if you're familiar with the Pied Piper of Hamlin, in which number one, I feel like that needs to get done as a movie somehow. Like Hollywood needs to get their hands on the Pied Piper. There's some cool things they could do.
Leave it to Disney.
But dude,
how cool that's
okay,
like, Ghost Jay. Thanks so much for coming in and hanging out with us for a bit.
Who is it? Oh, Ghost Jay?
Yeah, Ghost Jay. Thank you so much, Ghost Jay. I appreciate it. And
it's been nice having you.
Yeah, thanks for dropping that follow too. Have a great night. But yeah, what were you saying?
But in the actual town of Hamlin, there's actual records and census and all this stuff in which see a Ghost Jay. I said it wrong the other day.
And Sundance is the other dude. But thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you remembered me though. So
that's super nice.
I'm very honored. Ghost Jay, you're one of my favorite people now. I'll follow you after this. But what I was saying is that if you look at the actual historical records and the census and all that cool stuff, is that you do see that children are missing in that time, like almost the whole town. Like it could have been because of a plague, it could have been because of a war or anything, but the fact remains that the legend would say that they don't know why these kids have disappeared, but they have disappeared. And which kind of like adds to the whole story of the Pied Piper Hamlin, that he hypnotizes and takes them away. And I don't know, like stuff like that kind of like crosses over with actual history. I'm a big nerd for that. I love that.
Oh yeah, it's super fun. I do love that as well. Which is actually one of the reasons that I like this, and very good segue. But it's a great reason that I like the second Peter Pan movie, because it takes place during World War II.
Yeah.
And so, like, there is this actual historical context behind the reason that Wendy's daughter wants to kind of escape this world of constant bomb threats
Yeah.
and stuff like this. And so it's a very interesting take, and I do love the kind of adding real life history into fairy tales in a way
And
that's
what
easily
part of
accessible.
history, man? Because it's in a time that you are forced to grow up.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
like,
as a child.
yeah,
yeah.
like, away goes your innocence.
Yeah, and of course they would not. thanks for the applause, Ghost J. I appreciate it. Bows.
Actually, I think Ghost J just wanted a big exit so we can all applaud.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's.
Yeah.
I got you.
Ghost J's. That's Ghost J's exit.
A proper VIP exit.
Love that so much. But yeah. World War II is it's exactly there it is.
I get it.
There it is. Yeah, World War II is an incredible an incredible pivotal moment in history for a child to grow.
I don't care
through.
where you were on that map, that thing changed you.
Yeah, right? And being a child who their only job in that sort of situation is to grow up fast.
Yeah.
Wanting to escape to Neverland where no one else grows up is poetic, It's just like, of course,
And I love how out of the two kids, the one who had to go was the one that really, like, who in fact was trying to grow up.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't seen Return to Neverland in a long time. But
I saw it a couple weeks ago.
when you said that, it just hit me, and I was like, ooh, that hits heavy.
I'll tell you why, because I remembered it as like, yeah, I thought that both kids went, but that's mainly because I remember, I remember she picked up Toodles and like reminded him of her brother. And that's where I got it confused. And I was like, when I watched it again, I was like, oh my God, that's true. Only she went to Neverland.
Yeah. She didn't even go of her own volition.
She was taken.
She was taken. She was kidnapped.
In one way or another, she went to it.
And the funny part about that I super like is that these fairy tale characters, Captain Hook, Peter Pan, they don't understand the, hey, Katie Cat, welcome in.
What up?
We're talking about fairy tales today. If you've got a favorite fairy tale or anything like that, go ahead and drop it.
Story, nursery rhyme.
Yeah, drop it.
Please
drop it in chat. Let us know the answers to some of those questions.
Also, really quick, I don't mean to interject. Why you like it and what you take from it? Because like I said, I always love hearing what people take from certain stories.
Yeah,
like what they take for themselves.
But anyway, one of the things that's super interesting to me about the Return to Neverland is the fact that, so we know, the audience knows that Wendy has grown up because that's a real life thing, and that Jane is her daughter because that's a real life thing. But then Captain Hook and Peter Pan don't understand the concept of time because they never grow up.
And in the book he has like terrible memory too. Like which
Peter Pan does,
him.
100%. Yeah. Peter Pan, I mean, like in the book,
I'm like, I know he's a child, but at certain points I'm like, I feel like enough time has passed that his brain is like a 90-year-old paste that just forgets.
Welcome back, Oceana Star. We're, believe it or not, we're actually still talking about the topic.
We only briefly mentioned Spike Hits, but that's just as a mention.
You did miss a bad spike in the fact that my internet completely dropped out because I'm a pro streamer. And so
she dipped out at the right point.
Yeah. Oceana Star, you left at the appropriate time. You missed tech difficulties. No big deal. I'm a pro. Oh gosh. Okay, let's read this, Katie Cat. I don't know any that were turned into Disney movies. That's fine. We don't need to talk about Disney
I love
movies.
those. I love those.
But I really love The Little Mermaid, absolutely. Even if this storyline is completely messed up once you think about it, yes.
That's true. Yes.
On that topic, this is going to sound like my parents are crazy, but they're not. They're not crazy. I want to put that out.
Why
When
you keep looking off the screen real quick? When you
they're
do
not
that?
crazy, I swear. No, but when I was growing up, I was not allowed to watch The Little Mermaid because The Little Mermaid sells her soul to the devil and then gets it back in the end. And that's not what happens when somebody sells their soul to the devil. And so they don't just get it back. And so I was not allowed to watch that movie growing up. I was also not allowed to watch The Lion King for a long time growing
I
up.
think you would have taken I think you may have taken the book one better. You personally.
The book Little Mermaid?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's it still wouldn't fit with the way you would have looked at it, but I think you would have appreciated that one a little more.
Probably. Well, I appreciate it now, regardless. And then The Lion King, I was also not allowed to watch. Yeah, the devil wouldn't allow that. Thanks, Katie Cat.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, not in my house. But yeah. And then I was not allowed to watch The Lion King for a long time either because it's the story about a brutal murder. And my parents were like, let's not, glorify a brutal murder. And like, I'm okay with that. Like, I understand.
It introduced me to violent politics.
Right? No kidding.
The cutthroat business of politics. I watched that. Yeah.
That's just business.
It opened my eyes.
Right? Oh my goodness. So speaking about that, let me get off topic for half a second and talk about the fact that Matt,
the true nature of the show.
Yeah, other Matt, not Matt in chat, but Matt from school was talking in class the other day about he was talking. Oh, hold on. Oh, I think it was him. Maybe it was somebody else. Now I can't even remember. Somebody was talking about the fact that we have like two very different personas. Like if you're the boss of a company, you feel less guilt treating one of your employees poorly because that's business. And because it'll get you ahead, because capitalism. And because it'll get you ahead in the long run, and so you don't mind, treating someone a little bit poorly or, making some poor choices to benefit your business. Mm-hmm. And you don't mind, like, bending your morality for your business. But, if you were to do that to one of your friends, you wouldn't be okay with it.
No.
And I was like, ooh, that's, like, interesting. It's a really interesting thing.
That sounds
to think
like a
about.
Matt thing. That's very insightful.
It does, and it's just an interesting thing to think about. Anyway, when you said or when I said that's business, that it just reminded me of that. Anyway,
I'm glad I helped.
Yeah, I'm glad you were here for that whole conversation.
I'm glad I got to watch this conversation unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but okay. So what I wanted to say was, we were talking about Peter Pan and how Peter Pan has no concept of time. My thought with his memory loss issues in the book and his huge memory issues in the book. I mean, literally, he forgets who the darlings are.
He has to ask them again
during their flight to Neverland. I mean, literally, like, they're just mid-flight, and he's like, wait a minute, who the heck are
What's
you
your name
people?
again?
Yeah, like, that's a thing. And so I attribute his memory issues to the fact that he has lived for hundreds of years. Scientifically speaking, when you have lived 1 year, when you turn 1 year old, 1 year is 100% of your life. And so each day in that year is significantly impactful, right?
Gotcha.
Because each day is something new. But when you've lived for 50 years, 1 year isn't as significant anymore. And so each day isn't as significant.
You know who I like watching that kind of logic on? And like on Once Upon a Time, any of the characters who have lived for centuries. Like there's something about them that, it's I don't know, like I feel like they have a different like Rumpelstiltskin, like definitely him. He's definitely got I don't know, like I feel like he's got a different sense of time of like what it is,
And
because
well,
especially the way because when you see him throughout like the entire arc, even in like the flashbacks, you notice like how he's not calculated almost because of how he knows like the certain checkpoints that they're gonna have to happen in the future. He knows
yeah.
he's working off of like I think a checklist. Like the way that I used to see it, in which he knows this next thing's coming.
Yeah,
Checklist.
once
Like
upon a
that's how he
time,
keeps.
ABC's Once Upon a Time, Katie, for sure. Um, but yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think what's interesting about that is, once again, it's more like a checklist. And
Yeah.
so instead of living every day, he's living to the most significant moment and then to the
Right.
next most significant moment.
Like playing the long waiting game, that's not a problem for him because he knows he's gonna get to it.
Yeah, because time for him is nothing because
No.
he's immortal. So,
Yeah.
you know.
That's like that's the kind of logic I like to watch that on for like those kinds of characters.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could not agree more. But that's the thing I think is wrong with Peter Pan is I can't remember exactly like how long Peter Pan has been in existence. Like the character. I don't remember if he's as old as time or
Well,
like
I think he's been specified as he doesn't have a birthday.
yeah.
He doesn't even have a birthday.
Yeah. So it's that like he's pretty much as old as time if we're going to quantify it as that.
Yeah.
And so considering that he's lived for billions of years, if we want to even qualify it to that, then a conversation with the Darling children is going to be as insignificant to him as a piece of dust landing on your finger. Like, you're not even going to notice it. And so when he has to go reintroduce himself, it's because he's lived for so long that nothing's significant anymore.
No, exactly. and what better, like if for lack of a better word there, what better mindset to have there to give to a character than a child, like a carefree child who is really interested in just playing.
Yeah. And yeah, it's great. Because it makes all of his evil a little less evil, too.
Right. Like it's like, yeah, I understand how cruel it is of, like slaughtering some, lost boys to thin the herd or just
yeah. And
but
we've all seen, the Peter Pan is the real evil character.
Yeah, but
that's
that's also what a heightened kid would do in any play situation. Oh, so
and
like even as like a fit, we'll say, like, I'm not saying that's the end all be all that he's doing there, but like, let's say even a fit, like, that's it. I don't want to play with you anymore. Shing, you're dead. You're not playing. You're not in the game anymore. Like stuff like that.
Yep.
And like when you really see it through the eyes of a kid, I'm like, yeah, I guess logistically that makes sense in a fantastical setting with where the child is playing with all these rules. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Thanks so much for hanging out with
totally
us, Linz.
Linz, okay.
Have a good night, Grandma. Thanks for coming in. She has a command on her channel that is Grandma because she goes to bed real early. But have a good one, Linz. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the raid, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't mean to. I just wanted to address you before you leave.
No, it's all right. Like it's all cool.
But much love, Linz. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for this long and talking fairy tales. Have a great sleep and enjoy the rest of your week. I'm just sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, but yeah, I was basically circling to the end of that statement where it's just a child playing a big game.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
To a very heightened degree,
And,
like actually killing another child.
But once again, I mean, if you think about it through my lens as well, it's not that heightened. Because, he's gonna kill off a few Lost Boys, new ones will come along.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to wait that long for them, comparatively speaking. I mean, literally, if you think about...
It's by his logic, yeah.
If you think about the amount of time he's been alive, even if it takes 10 years for new Lost Boys to come along, that's seconds in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so the significance of life is just completely unimportant to him. And so I don't think Peter Pan is truly evil like a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, he's a kidnapper and he's a killer and he's all of this. Well, yeah, he's all of that, sure. But he's not evil. He's not malicious. He's just a kid who has never grown up for millions of years.
Yeah, dude, he wanted to bar the Darling's window on the way back. But then he changed his mind after like seeing the parents and all. But
well, yeah. And it's the
but
same
yeah, like
thing.
I like that. Yeah, like it's
and it's
like
the same
that's just
thing.
his fit.
It's the same thing that you do when you're a kid, when your parent comes over, when you're hanging out at a friend's house and your parent comes over to pick you up and you go hide in the basement so that your parent can't pick you up, right?
Right, exactly.
Because you want to stay, you want to play more. Yeah, I know. It's super funny, but he's just a child. That's all he is. He's just a kid who has lived for a very, very, very long time. So yeah, it's Peter Pan. Peter Pan is definitely one of my favorite. And the story behind Peter Pan, I'm going to talk about it for a little while longer because
Go for it.
we have the time. And like my
producers, just deal with it.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
No, but the story behind Peter Pan is super interesting too because I don't know if you're familiar with James M. Barrie's background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can bounce back and forth with this because I'm interested to know what you know and if you have any more insider knowledge than I do.
I probably just know the basics.
But yeah, I know that when James M. Barrie was young, his youngest brother, his 6-year-old brother, passed. Yeah. David Barrie passed, and so he was traumatized by that, and coupled with the fact
not only that, it was his mother's favorite.
Yeah, exactly, right, and coupled with the fact that his mother kept telling everyone and coping with that by, he will just remain a child forever. He'll never lose his innocence.
Yeah, he was obsessed with that.
And he was. And like, psychologically speaking, James Barrie was a little messed up. I mean, I'm not going to lie. James Barrie, probably the most sane and stable human being. But from it comes
Wait till we get to Lewis Carroll. That'll be for another episode.
Yeah, right? Oh,
there's so much more we can take away from another Fairy Tales episode.
Right, for sure. But yeah, with Peter Pan, it stems from this true trauma. Yeah. And then coping with that for your entire life. Because, I mean, that happened when James himself was a child. And so, growing up through that, first of all, he had to try to fill David's shoes as the favorite. He would even, from what I've heard in like interviews and stuff like that, he would even dress up in David's clothes to try to make his mother happy. Yeah. Like all kinds of like weird, craziness. And so living with that, it's no wonder that Peter Pan is a boy who will never grow up, whose only desire is to have a mother to tell them stories. And it's like, this comes from a really real place in James Barrie's life. But it's even more interesting to me that James is Captain Hook. And so James didn't make himself the main character. He made himself the villain. And to me that blows my mind. Like, when I'm writing, I don't write professionally. I'm not James Barrie. But when I write, I put myself as the main character. I'm very much the main character. I put myself.
Well, in anything somebody writes, one character has to be the mouthpiece of the author. Yeah. It doesn't always have to be the main one, no. But yeah, like there's always a character who's the mouthpiece of the author.
Mm-hmm. And James made it Hook. James Hook. His name is James. Like he was very blatant about the fact that he made Hook himself. And so it is very interesting, and just to see that. But yeah,
That's why, and
I
like
really enjoy it.
that's why it really makes it questionable when you meant like uh the family that inspired the Darling
Yeah.
family.
Well, yeah, that's a little weird. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that. Yeah, there's a lot to say. But here's the thing: there's a lot to say about him that was suspected. There's a lot to say that.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Like, what writer from back then didn't have some sort of like, like weird controversy that people still pick at?
Right, exactly. So I want to address this question. How do you like the take on the Peter Pan in the movie Hook, with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams? Is that what I'm assuming?
Oh,
Um,
I gotta say, Dustin Hoffman is one of my favorite Hooks.
I love the storyline because it's a very interesting retelling.
Yeah,
Um, it's
and real quick,
very
that's how I like to see. That's how I like viewing remakes.
yeah
Where it, especially with like Disney ones, where it's not like a carbon copy. Like, I think many people either expect a carbon copy of a movie so they can hate it or love it, one way or another to compare it. But honestly, the way I like seeing remakes is just a retelling.
yeah
It's not going to be the same. There's an obvious reason why you're making it, and that's to bring something new to it. And of course, like that's the only way you can say it. It's a retelling of the
yeah.
story.
And so, for a minute, I want to try to get this across because
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think I'm right on this, and I've got it kind of on the tip of my tongue. So, Peter Pan, the original. No, you're totally good, Oceana. Absolutely, you're fine. Um, I'm super glad you're enjoying it too.
Yeah.
I'm super glad you're having fun, and I'm glad you're hanging out with us. But so my take on it is the original Peter Pan, both the book and the musical version of it that's for the stage, and
Yeah.
even to some extent the Disneyfied version of the film. Um, all of those, I think that the main message behind all of them is because you've got this juxtaposition of Wendy, who does not want to grow up so fast, and so she returns to Neverland, or she goes to Neverland, I should say, not returns. She goes to Neverland.
It's the audience that returns to Neverland.
Correct. And so she goes to Neverland and realizes that it is better to grow up. In fact, my favorite quote from Peter Pan is, "To live would be an awfully big adventure."
Yes.
That it's that. I think the main lesson of Peter Pan is that growing up is okay and it's a part of life, and growing up needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so, to answer your question more thoroughly, Oceana, Hook with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams is the same content, but the opposite message. It's that as an adult, you still need to be able to be a kid.
You need to have a balance.
Yeah.
You need to have a balance.
And so I love the fact that the original Peter Pan teaches us that it's okay to grow up, but then Hook teaches us that even as a grown-up, you should still be able to be a child.
It's like, can I add something to that?
Yeah, please do.
I'm gonna make a comparison in basically what in our field, like when we're studying acting, is that what I've noticed is, a lot of like these choices or techniques that like, for example, Greg will say, yeah, forget about that, don't do that, that schmacky acting, hate it, like not hate it, but like, don't do that. It's just it's not right, or like these other techniques don't, just kind of like rewire your brain so you can learn like these like the right techniques, then later on I've noticed in like in like our last like year or 2 years there in certain directions, he says, I need you to do this, like I need you to schmack it up, and which it's just a lot of stuff, like you just keep thinking back to like him saying, no, don't do that, but that's really just to like so you don't resort to it, so it doesn't inhibit you while you're learning.
Yeah.
But it's still a good tool to it's still a tool you're going to use. So I thought that was just genius. I'm like, all right, cool. It's like now, now I'm a serious actor. I do this. And he says, all right, cool. But you have to do this now, which makes you think, what? No, I spent my whole life here doing this.
Right, exactly.
Only to find out that I need both for
Absolutely.
a balance,
And it is all about that balance. And so Hook, I think, as a film provides that balance for Peter
Yeah.
Pan. And I don't think Hook is canon with what James M. Barrie would have liked. I don't
It's
think it's
no, it's still just like another person's,
yeah.
interpretation.
But you know how like
The Children's Hospital?
uh did
You're
they
talking about the rights?
No, I was gonna mention Oz. Who wrote Oz? Who wrote The Wizard of Oz?
Oh my God.
I can't
I'm
think
blanking.
of the
I can't
name.
remember.
But the person who wrote The Wizard of Oz basically said that anything Oz related is canon. Anything that takes place in Oz, whatever it is, it's canon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, dude. And do you know
I
how
love
like
that.
you know how many like continuation, like how many books are in the whole Oz lore? There's so many.
Yeah, there are tons of them, and but I don't think Hook is lumped in with the Peter Pan. I don't think it's very canon. It's very unconventional to have Peter Pan be an adult. That's
I'm glad you
weird.
mentioned that because there's a book that the actual hospital, the children's hospital that
Yeah.
owns the rights to Peter Pan, because there's been so many different like all these different authors writing, what they feel like would be a good continuation.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these things published out there, but there was one specifically that the hospital, they read it and like the whole board went, yeah, no, this is it. We're gonna make this one canon. And I haven't had the chance to read it, but like judging by the details I've heard for it, I was like, that's interesting. I need to check this out. But like it's still like you still explore like Captain Hook. You still explore like some of his pirate crew. And you still get Peter Pan and there's like a story with like a new lost boy coming in. But like it's like watching these like certain things just like losing grip like in the structure of like what you consider Peter Pan. Like it's interesting, but I'll send you like the title and link later. But it's
for sure. That's awesome.
It's an interesting read.
I'll have to check it out. I have not seen Return to Oz. I have not seen that film.
I've only seen like the trailer, but I've been wanting to. It's not at all
it's
a
very
continuation
gold,
to
right?
the movie. No, it's dark. It's like one of those.
I'm trying to
dude,
think. I think I've seen a trailer to an Oz related movie.
It's not supposed to be like a sequel to the musical.
Does it focus on the wizard?
It focuses on Dorothy.
Okay, then what's the movie that came out and
Oz Great and Powerful?
That's the one I'm thinking of. So I have not seen Return to Oz or Oz Great and Powerful, but I've seen the trailers for Great and Powerful.
Parts of Oz Great and Powerful. I haven't seen the whole thing. I'd like to.
I'm not as well versed with the Oz universe, to be honest.
No, neither am I. One thing I'm doing this quarantine is trying to read more classics for personal growth, and of course, some for my own leisure. But
just for pleasure.
Yeah, but I try to balance that out. And one thing I'm on right now is I've gone back to finishing Alice in Wonderland, both books. So I'm kind of riding that train. Oz is definitely on my checklist. So once I learn more about it, I'll be keying you in.
Yeah, for sure. It's Dorothy gets sent to a mental hospital after her experience in Oz, but goes back to save her friends as the Lion, Scarecrow, and Tin Man. Oh, that's awesome. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to
But it's dark. Check out the trailer.
That seems like something that I would definitely be into. I haven't even seen the trailer for that. I've definitely seen the trailer for Oz Great and Powerful.
I've heard a lot of people not liking it, basically because they expected a continuation to, the Judy Garland one.
Got you, and it's definitely not that.
No.
I grew up watching a ton of 80s and early 90s movies. I So I watched 90s movies and 60s movies, and there was pretty much no in between for me. I
Yeah.
watched Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and what was the other one that I was gonna pull? Oh, I guess that's 70s. But Charlie and the Chocolate
That knobs and
Factory.
dude, that's another one I wore the book out on that one.
Yeah, Roald Dahl. I mean, fantastic. Ghost and Mr. Chicken all the way. Um, but yeah, like I grew up watching all of these moderately older films. I mean, it
Yeah.
feels weird saying that they're old, but they're like 50, 60, 70 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But yeah, so I grew up watching a bunch of those movies, and so I feel you on that. Watching
what
those
I would
old
like?
movies and stuff. Yeah.
You know how right now Universal wants to do their own not a universe per se, but definitely they want to do their own uh, like revamping of the classic monsters. You know, the
Yeah, like
Invisible
the
Man,
Invisible Man.
Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Wolfman. They want to make a whole thing for them. You know,
Yeah.
originally they want to make a whole dark universe, kind of Avengers style, but with the Mummy, but that didn't really work for them.
Yeah.
But they're doing it with with their exactly with the classic monster movie. So they're
Have you not seen The Invisible Man yet? It is
it's
incredible.
so good.
It is incredible.
It's really well done.
Uh,
They're working on an Invisible Woman too.
Are they really? Highly
Yes.
recommended. Just off the bat. Obviously,
yes, absolutely.
Obviously, we won't give away any spoilers or anything like that. Just highly recommended. Absolutely, please watch it.
And if that's where they want to take that franchise, per se, I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
Especially with how they incorporate all these modern takes and just they make it make sense in our setting. I think is just brilliant.
So Frankenstein is really dated. Because of the technology at play, because the scientists,
and that's one of the upcoming ones too.
I know, and
I'm here for it.
You have no idea
It's
how excited I am for a Frankenstein.
The second I heard it was gonna be the lab was gonna be somebody's basement, I was ready.
Ocean is asking if it's canon to the failed Dark
It is
Universe from Universal.
It is not. They pulled the plug after the Mummy.
Got you.
But
yeah.
But I would love a whole franchise in which it's kind of like the same setting as theirs. Make it our current or modern setting, with still having the elements of the original story. But I want that with fairy tales, dude. Could you imagine having maybe like a modern Jack and the Beanstalk it's not your typical buy some magic beans and having that be the thing, but maybe even incorporate like a scientific experiment or something that kind of leads to it, or even like, for example, I always envisioned Rumpelstiltskin to be kind of like a mob boss, or some criminal kingpin. Like I would love to see something like that where in a modern setting. I would love a whole franchise dedicated to it. If like the keys to the kingdom were given to me, I would work on that. I would love to get my hands dirty on that.
Yes. Oceana, you are absolutely correct. Number one, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, so that was like a huge step for feminism, because women didn't write during that time, or if they did, they wrote under male pseudonyms because they couldn't establish themselves as female writers. So the fact that Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein is pretty awesome. And then yes, it did explore sexuality and a lot of things that were kind of taboo. It also, in and of itself, like the traditional story of Frankenstein bringing something to life that's not supposed to be living, that was very taboo as well. And especially the fact that in a sense it's playing God, and that was blasphemy. That was not acceptable. And so the fact that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein became a classic and became what it is today is super impressive, because it was not written in the right time. It was not, you know what I mean? Like it was not done in the correct era. It was almost doomed to fail, and yet it had massive success. And I appreciate that. I have always, you were talking about with Jack and the Beanstalk scientific experiment and all of that kind of stuff. I have always viewed Dr. Frankenstein. I have always wanted a very, very modernized remake. And I've always viewed Dr. Frankenstein as a Stark-like character.
Okay.
Where he has this empire, this medical empire that he's built. And his newest experiment, very much like in the Sony version of Spider-Man and the origins of the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
This new scientific experiment that brings about Frankenstein's monster, and it's I've always kind of viewed it in that sense. I've just never figured out, and that's why I'm very interested to see what happens. I've never figured out exactly what I would do in a modern take of the monster. You know what I mean? Like what would you make the monster in a modern sense? And
Probably an android.
Oh.
But like a hybrid android,
and I was thinking more on the gruesome and gory of mutated, sci-fi almost. And so
no, yeah, I was trying to think of legit, trying to make a legit, half man, half machine that works and is running efficiently.
Yeah. That's interesting. Because of the details of the Frankenstein story, it could work really well with Android.
You know what Pinocchio
uncontrollability,
retelling I like? AI with Haley Joel Osment. It was like a very futuristic one.
I haven't seen that one, and I didn't know. I've heard of AI, but I haven't seen it.
If you're considering yourself to be my best friend in any way, Mr. Sundance, you must watch AI.
Wait a second. No, I think we watched it together. I didn't know it was.
No, I was gonna show you. I showed you the trailer, but we never watched it.
That's right. We never watched it, and I didn't know it was a Pinocchio remake.
It gave me an existential crisis as a child because I saw it a little too young. But
Haley Joel Osment was in a lot of those movies that were existential and weird. Sixth
if he's
Sense
in it,
like that.
It's gonna mess me up in some way.
I don't like you.
I'm very hesitant to watch something he has done. Don't get me wrong, they're great now, but
this child
as a child
is making me uncomfortable. AI has Robin Williams in it
yes,
too, or was that Bicentennial
exactly.
Man?
No, he absolutely is in AI. He voices a projection, I believe.
But both, because he was also in Bicentennial Man right around that same time, which was fantastic. Movie still makes me cry to this day. I love that movie.
You know how I would do Red Riding Hood?
Ooh, how?
I do it as kind of like a stalker. You know how
like a creepy pasta.
Well, yeah, kind of like popping up on your feed, being very nice to you and like enticing you.
Hello, little girl.
yeah, and because how can you not just add technology in there, especially when you don't know who's on the other side of the screen? Exactly, it's.
Oh, what big eyes you have! What big ears you have!
Yeah, could you imagine something like that? Dude, I would love to see something like that.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, because
I could definitely see a modern Red Riding Hood using technology and catfishing and stuff like that.
Yeah, other people have made definite, modern Red Riding Hoods, but I feel like that one would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like fairy tales as horror films.
Dude, absolutely. Well, I mean, their origins are very gory and
horrific.
yeah, absolutely. That's why. Okay. I'm gonna do a little shameless plug, but I'm writing on our show. How dare I?
What? But no way.
As you're aware, Dr. Sundance, I need to get a mug. I'm sorry.
You're good.
I've been meaning to get on that, but
no, you're good.
But I'm writing a scripted podcast, but it's supposed to be like a thriller.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, like Once Upon a Time meets Gotham, but not in the sense of like there's this big curse, but I just like the idea of all these, uh, dark, fairy tales or even fables or urban legends or even like, dude, there's so much you can play with like Poe, Lovecraft, but having them all live and coexist in this modern or almost timeless, metropolitan city,
Yeah.
where it's, crime is run amok
It's
and
gritty.
there's so much, there's so much good potential you can pull from there. And that's one thing I'm really excited about.
And that I think is the biggest thing about fairy tales is how do you feel about creepypastas taking over as our new modern lore? Yeah, grim fairy tales were dark
really,
or gory because they were told to protect people and kids. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
exactly. No, I'm here for creepypastas. I mean, some don't really, I guess some are not really
It's because
exactly
they're
to
all
my
written by
liking, but
different people, right?
yeah, there's different people, different ages, and of course every writer has a different voice to it. But you know the beauty about creepypastas is just how much you can pick and choose, how much you like. But I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like there's so much cool lore, a lot of, it's just a lot of interesting ways of looking at, uh, just certain, maybe even retelling. Because I've seen people retell, maybe like a classic story trope, but they do it so brilliantly in a, in such a twisted way. I don't know. It's a whole genre I'm very much in love with, and it's one of those I'm still trying to peel the onion on.
Yeah, everybody's like, everybody thinks that, well, because creepypastas are, in the grand scheme of things, so new.
Also, any short film I find on YouTube that's based on a creepypasta, I have to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was gonna get into is creepypastas.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Creepypastas are in general new, so it's kind of meme worthy. Like, oh,
Yes.
creepypastas,
Oh, dude, there's
that
so
kind of
many
stuff.
memes.
But my thing is, and
I'm changing my background right now, real quick. But
you're good. Some of those memes are in a very it can, yeah, I absolutely can repost the Discord server link. I would be glad to. But yeah, all of those creepy
there we go.
pastas.
This feels a little grittier.
Even uh, is
There we
it?
go.
No. I hope it's not messed up. I hope you can join it now. I hope everything works out for you. If it doesn't, please let me know. Invite invalid. Well, now I'm just sad. It expired. It's not supposed to expire. That one was supposed to be one that lasted forever.
That's what we always think.
Yep. Let me try to give you a better one then. I apologize. I definitely want to get you onto the Discord though, because that'd be fun. Alrighty. Let me. Well, this is temporary, so I'll give you this one for now. But I'll have to go change that. If you want to just click on that link, you should be able to jump right in. But thank you so much. Oh, it says you joined. It says you joined a while ago. If you're Ocean Star. Okay. So you should be good now. But welcome in, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. And so what was I in the middle of saying? I was in the middle of saying something about... I can't remember. What was I in the middle of saying? Oh, creepypastas. They were so...
There we go. Yes.
A lot of people thought they were meme-worthy in a negative way, and...
Which, I mean, like I said, not every story, not every creepypasta falls in the same category. Of course, some are more...
Yeah, but like...
meme-worthy.
Yeah, but like some film is meme-worthy, and so yeah, there's that. But as a genre, as a whole, I think it's a very, very interesting and innovative and good way of storytelling.
Dude, you know how many podcasts?
I don't see anything wrong with them whatsoever.
I'm hoarding podcasts right now, but one thing I've noticed that between a lot of the the scary story or campfire stories are really just retellings of creepypastas. That's like creepypasta has definitely taken over a lot of podcasts.
Oh, that's awesome. You cover a lot of lore in different cultures. That's
Yes, dude, that is awesome.
fun. I like that a lot.
I spent 1 year in Mexico, and that was one thing I really enjoyed. Learning the lore of the Mexican culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea that, we can have, because we're in America anyway. This is on the internet, so anybody watching could be from anywhere. But here in America, we have our own lore and our own very specific stories that we tell. But it is really interesting to hear the very common, fairy tales and common, even especially in my mind, because I'm kind of a horror lover. Like the horror stories and ghost
Dude,
stories
urban legends,
and urban legends and stuff like that.
Everyone has those.
Yeah, other cultures are great when it comes to that. So yeah, I super like that. If you've just joined us, we are that 20-somethings show. I can't speak English words apparently. That 20-somethings show.
I don't either.
And we're talking about fairy tales and lore and all kinds of crazy. American Gods is a good one to watch because we are a melting pot of cultures in America.
That's
for
true.
Sure. Yeah, that's totally true. I completely agree. But yeah, it's it's super interesting to find these ghost stories from other cultures and stuff. It's by Neil Gaiman. I've heard that name before.
Good Omens.
Thank you.
Coraline.
Thank you. Yep, appreciate it. Just didn't ring a bell right away.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hey, Purple, you just got here. Could you repeat everything real quick? Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go over the So there was a lot of talk about fairy tales and, the most impactful ones that we had in our childhood. And
I cried and ate cottage cheese for 5 minutes.
Yep, and then we had some slight technical difficulties. We talked about Peter Pan for a long time. We had to mention Spy Kids, which I know you hate, but we did it. And then now we're kind of talking
the shortest mention we've ever done, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was a very quick mention. But now that we're talking about it again, it's kind of like defeating the whole purpose.
What, Spy Kids?
Get out of here. But then now we're talking about lore and we're talking about, new forms of the same fairy tales and that old form of literature, but in a modernized context.
I'm so sorry. I'm laughing because I just got a notification on YouTube. There's a Mexican comedian I follow, and one of his podcasts are kind of what kind of inspired me to tell you to do 20-something show because they have a similar format, and they're titled today because they stream today as well.
Nice.
Funny enough.
Are they on YouTube or on Twitch?
I think they may be. I think they switched from Twitch to YouTube now.
Rats.
I know that, but their title was "We didn't prepare anything," and I thought, well, I guess the pressure's off.
Wow, sounds familiar. No, but that's great. But yeah, welcome in, Purple. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us for a bit. We are gonna wrap this stream up pretty soon here because it is getting late. But for now, we're still talking about stuff.
No worries. This is definitely one of those topics we will bring back.
This is going to be a recycled topic for sure.
Yeah,
because
there's so much to cover.
Yeah, there is, and the more people we get in chat too, the more interesting conversations we have about it. Because everybody kind of has their own take and their own favorites and stuff like that, and that's really what I love.
We haven't even touched upon Aesop's fables, or is it? Because I've heard Aesop or Aesop's.
I have only heard Aesop's, so that's what I'm going with.
Let's go with Aesop's. Yeah.
Woo. But yeah, you're right. We haven't talked about any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's definitely stuff that we can bring up in a new podcast. But yeah, when it comes to the modernization of fairy tale and stuff, I think Creepypasta does a great job, and I think that right now specifically, the world is in the appropriate time for a little bit of darkness. And so it allows us, if I can find them, I'll post links to voice actor Crispin Freeman's panel on mythology and storytelling. It's fascinating. Yes, please do.
I'm loving this already.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Drop that somewhere. You can drop it in the hang spot or wherever you feel is most applicable. I will definitely see it, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But yeah, I definitely think that we're, especially modern America, but in general the world, is in kind of a darker place right now, and we're more comfortable exploring darker places now too in media.
Yes.
And so that's what makes things like The Invisible Man, with the universal dark universe and stuff. That's what makes it more accepted and more attainable. And so I think creepypastas are just the new fairy tales. I think it's very similar.
Dude, Slender Man boomed because of creepypasta.
I forgot that Slender Man was a creepypasta.
Yeah.
I genuinely forgot. Okay, which came first, the creepypasta or the game?
I could not be able to tell you.
Because Slender Man was a game for a while too.
I think it may have been the game, and then that inspired like people
lore
to expand on his lore. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my guess.
Thank you, Oceana. Yeah, the game came first.
Right. But you know what I thought was kind of cool, the series of like weird videos that I send you, where like it's like they were filming a movie, but then it just derailed and they're just doing something else. But that's that's been around for like years. I forgot what it was called. Golden Hornets, I think. No, was it Golden Hornets? Marvel Hornets. But it was one of those kind of like how you were showing me Local 51 or 58?
Local 58. Yeah.
But it was kind of like that in that sense of like you're piecing together what's going on here, and it dealt with Slender Man. It was just the best thing in the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, definitely, if you're into the whole creepypasta kind of thing, check out Local 58. It's an ongoing YouTube series currently.
Or Marvel Hornets. That's also Marvel Hornet.
Something like that. But yeah, check these things out because they're super interesting storytelling, and it is just modern day fairy tales. It's a little bit darker, but so were fairy tales when the Brothers Grimm wrote them. They were a little bit dark.
Or go on Spotify or anywhere, because there's literally almost every dark podcast deals with.
Speaking of which, what was that podcast that Steven showed us that he was really into? It was about that town.
Welcome to Night Vale.
Welcome to Night Vale.
So good.
It's another podcast you should check out. It's very much storytelling and very, very interesting.
I feel it
always
as
keeps you
in
guessing.
It's like Local 58, but if it were a radio station.
Yeah, Bedtime Stories is great, and Local 58 as a radio station is pretty much exactly what Welcome to Night Vale is.
With a couple comedic things here and there. But
oh, yeah. But that's what makes it even more interesting is
the unsettling, like even the funny bits, like the way they're delivering it. It feels kind of unsettling, and it's so good.
Yeah. It's almost like you laugh out of the sheer uncomfortability of it. Like it's like,
and I like that in horror too, like because a lot of horror just goes for the jump scares now, but I like the ones that can linger and give you that unsettling feeling.
I agree 100%.
Because I mean, there are times for a jump scare. I'll admit to that, but the other thing that enhances the experience is the anticipation.
Oh yeah,
and also not knowing when or what to expect, but you're supposed to be expecting it.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah. Anyway, guys, it is getting late, so I think we are going to wrap it up for the evening. But I wanted to say thank you very much to Oceana Star for the follow. Thank you so much, Ghost J, for the follow. Thank you, Legend of Lens, for the raid. We appreciate it so much. I'm glad you guys have been with us for this time.
Really, yeah.
And I'm super glad that you guys got to share and chat, and that you guys told us your stories and stuff like that. That's super awesome for us. we enjoy reading about it, and we enjoy talking with you guys about it. So thank you very much for all of that. Pablo, before we head out, do you have our closer today?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We love hanging out with you all. And take care, be safe, and as always, we'll see you next time. This has been the 20-something show. And remember, hats are like shoes for your head.
Some. Until I first met you, I was lonesome. And when you came inside, dear, my heart grew light, and this whole world seemed new to me. You're really swell, I have to admit you deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I've racked my brain hoping to